Hello and welcome to a very special end-of-year edition of Cardano360. And as a remarkable year comes to a close, we're taking a break from our usual format to celebrate everything that we've accomplished in 2021 and to share some of the hopes and goals for the year ahead. And of course, before we get started, be sure to click like, subscribe and hit that bell to keep up with everything happening in this ever-expanding Cardano ecosystem through 2022 and beyond. So over the next hour or so, you'll hear more from Charles and also from some of the key leaders across the project. But before we go there, let's dive into some data and look at this remarkable year in numbers. We'll start off where we always do, with research. We've had 36 research papers accepted and presented at leading conferences, with 8 of those specifically created for Cardano. Our work remains the most cited in the space, so if you want to take a more scientific look into the papers that underpin Cardano development, head over to our research repo where you'll find over 100 of them. And what of the code itself? Well, we've consistently led the industry in the volume of our output. We've had 106 releases on public repos with over 38,000 GitHub commits. Meanwhile, we've got 67 active public repos, which still keeps Cardano as the most active project to date. And remember, that's just core work. With community tools, scripts and APIs and a fast expanding dApp ecosystem, there are hundreds more repos out there, steadily filling with code from every corner of the community. This year we also updated and delivered hundreds of pages of release notes and documentation via Cardano docs, packed full of information for everyone building out the ecosystem. And this year, our Plutus Pioneer and Atala Prism Pioneer programs have educated thousands of future Cardano developers. And all that groundwork is paying off, because to date we've had over 2 million native tokens minted on the Cardano blockchain by you, the community. And as Cardano grows, so does IOG. We've hired 152 new employees this year, and we're now working entirely remotely across 37 different countries. Speaking of which, Charles and a small group from the company recently completed a tour of 6 nations across Africa. We shared the news that we're planning to onboard 33 million active users by the end of the second quarter of 2022. On top of that, we'll have 6 million verifiable decentralized IDs logged on our education platform in Ethiopia. Project Catalyst is moving forward to find and fund the best ideas in the ecosystem. We're now at Fund 7, with a fund treasury of $8 million in ADA. To date, it can take the credit for 312 fully funded projects, with 40 of those in Africa. And over 44,000 wallets are now registered to vote. Catalyst just keeps on growing. And talking of wallets, in December we reached a goal of 2 million total Cardano wallets. That's up from 1 million in May this year. Over 70% of ADA continues to be staked via more than 1 million staking wallets, handled by nearly 3,000 stake pools. With hundreds of thousands of transactions every day, a number set to grow exponentially as the first DEXs and dApps start to come online. What about you? Well, you may be one of the newer members of the growing community. Over 140,000 people attended September's Cardano Summit across the virtual world and meetups across the globe. You may be one of over 15,000 people added to our technical community mailing lists in 2021. Or maybe you came to us via one of the hundreds of millions of Twitter impressions across the main Cardano and IO accounts. You might also have seen one of the 155 videos posted on the IO YouTube channel, and hopefully you've been enjoying Cardano360 throughout the year. We've had over 1 million views. Some impressive numbers, but ultimately those metrics are just a reflection of the vision and the incredible community that drives us all forwards. It's been a tough year, and we've had plenty of challenges, and we've got more to come. But it's going to be another incredible year of growth and progress. Let's go over somewhere warm and sunny.
Hello, welcome to Cooking with Charles. Today we're going to be talking about all kinds of wonderful Chinese cuisine. Hi, I'm Charles Hoskinson, Chief Executive Officer of Input Output, and thank you so much for being with us today. This is an end-of-the-year review for Cardano. Over the past year, we have seen absolutely explosive growth in every metric one could measure, from transaction volume to the population of Cardano to releases. And the purpose of this episode is to kind of review the year and then discuss where we're going to go and how we're going to get there. In the beginning, when we started the Cardano project in 2015, it was really an aspirational project where we said we'd like to sit down and think carefully about how to blend best-in-class peer-reviewed research with best-in-class engineering, formal methods work, and then ask ourselves what is possible to achieve within 5 years or so. So that was a very difficult effort, and we ended up writing over 125 papers, over 1 million lines of code, and throughout this process we've learned an enormous amount along the way and gained a newfound appreciation for both the difficulty of the problems we've been trying to solve, as well as the social benefit of solving these problems. Since that time, we announced 5 eras: the Byron era, the Shelley era, the Gauguin era, the Basho era, and the Voltaire era. And we are well on our way to complete Basho and Voltaire next year, as well as iterate and refine the things that have come in the past. For example, the staking experience with Shelley and the smart contract development experience with Gauguin. What have we learned? Well, first we iterated and refined the model that Bitcoin gave us and the model that Ethereum gave us. With Bitcoin, it brought great innovations like an open, permissionless network where millions of people can actively participate in running a global financial system. And things like the UTXO model, things like Bitcoin scripts. These were all great ideas, but they didn't go far enough in order to enable the things that you've come to know and love, like NFTs and DEXs and DeFi. In the case of Ethereum, that gave us a beautiful view into how to do smart contracts and how to build a global system around concepts of permissionless programmable finance. But again, there are many issues there, such as overexpressiveness, which has resulted in many security concerns, $10.5 billion worth of DeFi hacks, and a litany of other problems. In addition to that, resource issues, for example, the gas costs that many people mention. So we took a look at these two things, and we kind of predicted the technological bets that we needed to make. And 2021 was really one of the first years where those bets came to reality. They were not aspirational anymore. We were actually able to deploy things like the Mary and Alonzo hard fork. And since we deployed Mary, there's now over 2 million assets issued on Cardano. As this model grows and gets refined, not only do we get the rich expressiveness of the extended UTXO model that gives us basically parity with what Ethereum has brought to market, but then we also get much more security, much more concurrency, and an easier path to application certification. When we look to the financial future, we say, what is necessary for things to have 3 billion users, 5 billion users? What is necessary for a world financial operating system? We need this kind of technology. We need this kind of infrastructure. And I'm very glad that this year we've really seen enormous progress towards that end. We've had great conversations with partners throughout the year. In fact, this was really the year of partnerships. Everything from the Fortune 250 with Dish, where just a single deal is going to bring in 8 million users into the Cardano ecosystem to start with, and hopefully we can scale that across all of the infrastructure, to partners throughout Africa. In fact, our Director of African Operations been to more than 20 countries this year in Africa. I personally went to 6 countries this year, from South Africa to Egypt. Every place, we kept the mission in mind of banking the unbanked, connecting the unconnected. And we really had great conversations with heads of state, Fortune 500 CEOs, and many others about what is required to give every person in the world economic identity. And how will that look in a permissionless, open, decentralized system as opposed to the legacy systems which are closed? The magic and power of Cardano is that it's infrastructure that enables all of this to happen. And we were really able to make significant progress in laying the foundations required so that as the functionality of Cardano continues to grow and turns on, that it really will be the foundations upon which the new financial operating system of Africa is constructed. Next year, we will see the realization of things that have been near and dear to me since before Cardano even existed. 2014, I gave a TED Talk where I talked about things like microfinance and remittances and how predatory these rates can be. 18 to 15% on average for remittances and 35 to 85% interest on average for microfinance transactions. Next year, the first microfinance transactions on Cardano will start happening. And those lending rates will be significantly lower in many cases than the markets they're nestled within. In addition to that, we've seen enormous innovation in fields like algorithmic stablecoins. This year we announced JET, a paper that we wrote in collaboration with many scientists, and that's going to be brought to market through partners like Cody. And JET will enable, combined with all the magic of Cardano, in our view, a very beautiful and resilient peer-to-peer microfinance marketplace that will penetrate markets like Kenya and many others throughout the African continent. So this is just a sampling of things, and it's really been remarkable to see things wake up and come alive. When we began this year, there were about 500,000 active users in Cardano. Now it looks like we have more than 1 million, perhaps even 2 million, depending upon how one counts it. From active stake accounts to social media signals. We've been in every major publication. We've had great interviews across the board, from the New York Times to Lex Friedman. And it's really remarkable to see how big the community has gotten, passionate the community has gotten. We are really growing at a rate that has even exceeded my expectations. So the mission is clear. The work continues. We continue to write papers. I think we wrote 35 this year, give or take. And we continue to write code. We continue to make major releases. And when we looked at 2022, really the big challenge will be transitioning to a massive open source project. While the code of Cardano has always been open and open source, it has really been the provenance of custodial entities. Those entities are pulling back, and now we're seeing a large decentralized government forming over the Cardano protocol. And this is the biggest priority of 2022 and the hallmark of the Voltaire era. With Catalyst, we've seen tens of thousands of people actively participate in voting. We've seen tens of thousands of people actively participate in funding over 300 different ventures. But that can go so much further. We have seen over 30 Cardano improvement proposals written. Probably more than 100 will be written next year. Standards are forming. Many different philosophies and opinions about the direction and focus of Cardano are materializing, in some cases contradictory, in some cases they need to be debated. The point of next year is to build all the infrastructure so that the ecosystem has that capability. And we are able, as one community, one family, to work together in order to advance Cardano to the next level. If we truly have the intention to build something with 1 billion plus users, we need a government that represents each and every one of those 1 billion plus users. That is going to be a massive focus of next year and a big struggle of next year. In the meantime, there's an enormous amount of parallel effort. As many of you know, Mithril and Hydra are huge commercial priorities, and we've been working on them. As many of you know, we continue to work on the smart contract model. Sidechains are coming to add Ethereum interoperability and legacy programming support through Yella. As many of you know, we continue to even refine the Shelley model with things like input endorsers and pipelining, partial delegation, and hopefully other innovations such as proxy keys. So all of these things are working in parallel. More than 12 development companies now working together as one family under one large open source project to deliver the future. It has been a whirlwind, and it's just hard to quantify all the things that have happened this year and the prior years. And what's truly astounding to me is we're probably going to do considerably more in 2022, which is extraordinary because we were so busy this year. And it's hard to imagine doing more work, but that's just the reality. It is extraordinary to see so many people working in parallel towards one singular mission and the enormous success that each and every one of you has achieved. There will be frustrations. There will, of course, be unexpected events. There will be failures, trials, and tribulations. And that's okay because it makes the journey worthwhile. And along the way, you make some friends, you make a few enemies, and you piss some people off. But that's why we do what we do. And I couldn't have done it without all of you, and I couldn't have done it without the amazing people at Input Output. I'd like to turn it over to them, and we can hear a little bit more about each and every one of the leaders in this organization and the things that they accomplished and kind of the view of where we're going. Thank you all for listening, and have a wonderful day.
Lo, 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 lo.
One question, guys. So, what is this?
Oh, you're recording. Oh, no.
Just take it again from the top, actually.
What's the question?
We had two major milestones this year that I really think are worth highlighting. The first is Plutus. Plutus brings DeFi to Cardano. Plutus allows us to do smart contracts on the Cardano platform. The Plutus scripts are really, really powerful, and they enable a whole range of classes of application. And we're going to start seeing decentralized exchanges and other DeFi apps launch on Cardano. So that was really, I think, one of the greatest achievements, and it's been a long time coming. So now people can start getting their teeth into this new way of building apps, and I think that's probably really quite exciting. And the second thing I'd say is less exciting, but really quite important, and that's been performance enhancements to the network. So we've finally been able to get to a point where we can start tweaking parameters and start easing out the maximum possible performance from the network. We want transactions to go through as quickly as possible. We want people to have to wait short times, and we want folks who are building DeFi apps to be able to do the maximum possible with those scripts. So these performance enhancements that we put in place are really going to allow maximum potential out of the Cardano platform as we move forward in 2022.
So I think for me, the most significant milestone that sticks out of my mind was our trip to Africa. So we visited 6 different nations. John O'Connor set it all up. He's been in Africa for a couple of years, and we were able to go and actually see for the first time, all of us as a team, the appetite for blockchain, the openness for blockchain from world leaders. We went and met the president of Burundi, who was very excited about blockchain technology and how it could actually change the actual systems in which they actually operate. We worked with World Mobile Chain to connect the people and build first the systems of connection, and then the other layers on top of it when it comes to identity solutions, when it comes to microfinance, when it comes to wallets and transferring essentially data and value through decentralized means. There is a complete openness in Africa for this technology. And to see that country after country that we visited, not just on the government side, but on the enterprise side, that was just eye-opening. And it was also just eye-opening to see that this is the technology that's going to change these people's lives more than anything. So it's developing world is going to need this technology more than the developed world. So to see that this technology can actually touch these people, empower these people to empower themselves, it was just revolutionary. I never thought I would see it in my lifetime, but now I can see how progress can happen all across the continent.
This year was an amazing year for governance in Cardano. We started with literally a small pilot of 50 participants in the start of the year. And where we are now, we have the largest decentralized innovation fund in the world with 45,000 registered wallets and about the same number of participants in our innovation platform. We have a very competitive fund, and now we're launching, now we have Fund 8 with 8 million, the next fund is going to be $16 million. Very competitive, 1,200 proposals competing over 25 challenges. We funded 306 proposals this year, all of them building to jumpstart the Cardano ecosystem. And we launched several acceleration programs to help those funded proposals to bring even more impact. ICE Addis, Entrepreneur D, Pluto, Satala, Metadata Pioneer programs are all integrated as tools to help these funded proposals. With the ability of the community to set challenges and propose and vote on proposals, we now have the complete toolkit in terms of functionality to manage a decentralized fund. That is an incredible achievement achieved in such a short amount of time. We also have the Catalyst Circle, our first official elected body of representatives. That's really exciting. They're really pushing things forward. And this was just this year. Next year is going to be the year of Voltaire. You will be able to delegate your vote to representatives who can vote on your behalf. You will be able to see access to a dashboard, and you can see exactly how each funded proposal is performing and what kind of outputs they're providing. And if we continue our current rate of growth, we're going to see more than 2,000 proposals funded next year, just from Catalyst. So there's a lot to look forward to.
Highlights from 2021 for me have to include the Cardano Summit. We brought together nearly 200,000 people in 36 countries. As part of that was a community-led initiative. The community had less than 6 weeks to pull together a series of events, which they did from everywhere from Accra through to Zurich. So that was a really impressive activation from my side. The second element is the on-chain growth. At the time of recording, nearly 2.4 million native assets have been minted on the Cardano blockchain. 900 or more Plutus scripts have been executed, and we're fastly approaching 2.5 million wallets.
2021 was a great year for the research department at Input-Output. It was very productive. We had 36 papers peer-reviewed and published. Let me just give you a couple of highlights. Early in the year, members of the team published the first version of Hydra. This is a suite of layer 2 protocols that offer very fast off-chain transaction processing that does not sacrifice the security of the main chain. Now, Hydra protocols are divided into the head class and the tail class. What was published early in the year was a Hydra head protocol. This allows a set of parties to do fast processing of the ledger state in an asynchronous and collaborative manner. Later in the year, we also published the first version of a tail protocol. This allows a server to offer immediate transaction processing to a population of clients, again without sacrificing the security of the main chain. Another milestone of 2021 was Ouroboros Chronos. This is a version of the Ouroboros protocol that obviates the need for parties to consult with an external clock. This is the first type of such a protocol in the blockchain setting.
One milestone that I'm particularly proud of is something that I actually kicked off when I started working for IOG. So that's the Tyler Prism project. So we've been building that platform for the last 2 years, and we finally got a release candidate out. And yeah, I'm hugely excited to see hundreds of companies, partners, and the community building on top of this platform. So it looks like we're going to have a really strong launch of the platform with hundreds of different use cases.
There have been so many milestones this year, it's hard to pick one which is really important. I think if I'm pushed to it, I'd have to say that the Alonzo hard fork was probably the biggest milestone that we've achieved. It was a really exciting rollout event. We all had a lot of fun with the Ghost Watchers party as we went from being a ghost chain to being a chain where people could do useful work. And of course, huge amounts of effort have gone into that. The Plutus team has been working on Plutus for the last 2 to 3 years. There's an enormous amount of research that's gone into that, research papers. There's also a huge amount of engineering that has gone into taking the output of those research papers and making things practical. And the whole IO team has pulled together on this. Obviously the node team, the ledger team, the consensus team, the networking team, the DB Sync team, who've been working to support and provide all the information about the chain, the Daedalus, the wallets team. Huge number of people been involved in this over 2021. So it's a combination of everyone's hard work and effort.
So this is François-René Rideau from Mutual Knowledge Systems, or Moon. I'm very happy to work with the Cardano community, and my main project on Cardano is a Glow programming language. It's a language to write decentralized applications, a bit like Plutus or Marlowe, but it's not based on Haskell. It's based on, well, it's its own language, our implementation language, it's Scheme. And it works well right now on the sidechain, the EVM sidechain of Cardano, but we aim to work on the Bluetooth PAB directly. And we have actually a Catalyst 7 proposal to work on the PAB. We already have a prototype, but we need to complete it, productize it, and make it available to everyone, because the prototype was written with the previous version of the PAB that it was lacking some capabilities. We want to update it to make it nicer. We also want to extend the Glow language itself and add more capabilities to it and make it more general or general purpose. We're also working on formal verification for Glow. Glow is a language for dApps, and we can prove interesting property about your dApps, and we have someone working full-time on the formal verification of Glow. This was funded by Catalyst 5. We're hoping that Catalyst 7 and hopefully Catalyst 8 will keep funding this kind of work. And finally, there's a big project we're doing for Cardano, or that we are hoping that we will do soon for Cardano, which is Avum. We have Avum funded for other blockchains, such as Nervos, but not yet for Cardano. And Avum solves a big problem that UTXO blockchains have, is to fire many transactions in the same block by many different people.
Okay, so the last year's been a milestone year for Cardano and Cardano Africa. We had our first major nation-state deal, which was a partnership with the Ministry of Education in Ethiopia to provide 6 million digital identities to students, and then potentially growing that to 20 million. So that project is now very much in flight. We'll be rolling out the system the first month of next year.
So 2021 was a fantastic year. Just to give you a review of the things that we achieved and the milestones that we completed through 2021, the first one is that we were able to roll out smart contracts on Cardano. So because we have smart contracts capability, now dApp developers are able to come into the ecosystem and build and compose their own dApps using Plutus, as well as other languages that we have in our repertoire. So smart contract capability was achieved using Alonzo, and following that we also saw a tremendous amount of development by the entire community developing dApps, as well as certain different types of dApps such as DEXs. We have a few NFTs as well, and we're looking forward to more such development moving forward into 2022. The second aspect that we also were able to achieve is we rolled out the Plutus Pioneer program, and this is where we started seeing one of the first developments within Cardano, and we were able to create an educational journey for people that weren't necessarily very familiar with building dApps, or maybe they weren't so familiar with Haskell or just working with the Plutus language, being able to take them through a journey into being able to build dApps with Plutus and launching it into the ecosystem. So that's my main highlights and my main takeaways from 2021. And looking forward into 2022, I hope to see more of that. And I'll also let you know about a few other areas where we are going to be improving upon and developing our capabilities.
A big milestone as it relates to Cardano was our first Plutus audit. We've built out a Cardano-specific blockchain team. We're working on Plutus semantics so we can do formal verification. But that first Plutus audit, we learned a lot, and it was awesome. Big milestone.
Another important milestone in 2021 was an efficient implementation of ELA that brought it to the level of handwritten implementations of ELA. And what is different here is that the implementation was generated completely automatically, correct by construction, from the formal semantics of ELA.
The most significant milestone for this year was definitely the release of Plutus, or smart contract language. It was so much work, many years of work to be released, and a very difficult challenge of explaining a new programming paradigm to the community. Developing UTXO smart contracts or smart contracts that can run on the UTXO model is definitely a technical challenge, and I think we did a great job at bringing to market this technology and training the community. And now, it's step one, and we are going to keep improve the language and make it more accessible. But that was definitely a great achievement.
Hi, I'm Simon Thompson. I started 2021 as Marlow team lead, and I'm ending the year as tech director for the dApp platform. So looking after languages and certification and dApp store. So Where have we got in 2021? We started the year with an idea in our head about Marlow Run, which is the client code for Marlow contracts running on Cardano. And by the middle of the year, we built that running on a simulated backend, including a PAB. And we're expecting to be rolling that out on mainnet next year, first quarter probably. And that was really exciting, seeing an idea go from something on the drawing board right through to a piece of technology that is going to be, I hope, a very pleasant experience for people running Marlow contracts, either on mobile or on desktop. Secondly, what happened? We got Plutus out there. We've now got contracts running on Cardano, and that's fantastic. I mean, it's been something that lots of people have been waiting for, and we're really pleased that's there. And what's more, we've got dApps running on Cardano. Using those smart contracts, people can build whole applications. We started with Spacebuds, and just as we hit the end of the year, we're getting some more heavyweight apps coming along. Sunday Swap as a DEX, Charlie 3 as a Oracle. So we're getting that standard blockchain functionality onto Cardano, and we're really excited about that.
In 2022, we're going to be working on Mithril. Mithril is a new primitive, and it's going to be a new node that's going to allow for faster bootstrapping and smaller signatures in Cardano. So far, we've implemented the primitives. There are other contractors working on the nodes. In 2022, one of the things we're going to be looking at is how to continue to improve the primitive for even smaller signature sizes, as well as how to build a test lab that can comprehensively test any new node that we or others might develop in the future. This will lead to a much more stable environment and a more predictable environment of nodes moving forward.
So the last year, 2021, was a really exciting year for education. We didn't do what we normally did, this long-term Haskell course, 10 months on the ground due to the pandemic, but everything was under the umbrella of Plutus because Alonso came out. It was a very exciting happening for Cardano, obviously. And I taught Plutus to thousands of engineers in a massive online course, which was a great challenge. And I still can't believe how successful it turned out to be, because Plutus was still very rough around the edges. So from week to week, things changed, and the pioneers had to adapt to that. But there was this great spirit in the community that they all pulled together and helped each other. And that's maybe one of the nicest outcomes of these courses, apart from teaching people how to use Plutus, that we built this great community of enthusiasts who want to learn Plutus, want to write exciting projects in Plutus, and help each other, support each other, answer each other's questions. So it wouldn't have been possible to individually answer everybody's questions, but it wasn't even necessary for my team and myself, because the pioneers helped each other and also produced great material by themselves, their own tutorials and like comments on my lectures. And so that was wonderful to watch this community spring to life and come into existence. And then, of course, I do miss my long-term Haskell courses. So hopefully next year we plan to go to Ghana for 10 weeks. And I can't wait to do that, because I always enjoy this also person-to-person teaching when you can actually look the students in the eyes and individually sit next down to them and check their progress and answer their questions. So I'm very excited about that. But of course, the pioneer programs will go on. So this year we didn't only do Plutus, we also did Prism, Atala Prism, which is just finishing now. And next year there are lots of new pioneer programs planned for Yelle, Glow, Marlow, and other IHK technologies that are coming to maturity now.
The future, 2022, is going to be absolutely wild. So it's really going to be an opening up of Cardano to fully the community. So I'm participating in helping to understand what the entire Cardano as an open source project really looks like. So that'll include Project Catalyst. It'll include a decentralized governance system that actually contemplates what the Constitution is or what the rules of engagement are for an entire ecosystem. We're going to see a lot more optimization when it comes to how to vote, when it comes to voters understanding proposals that are being submitted to them better. So we're going to really be advancing the notion of meaningful participation. And the Cardano community is really going to be taking over, and we're going to see a bureaucracy being built. So I always liken everything to the internet. If you look at the internet, there's several different institutions that they're decentralized institutions that actually run and govern the internet. So we're looking at our whole Cardano ecosystem map, and you're going to be seeing different institutions take on different components. Industry consortiums will be formed for Cardano. You're going to see that sort of just a traditional open source model, sort of similar to the Linux Foundation model, really start to advance. Catalyst is just going to continue to optimize and advance. More and more different enterprises and startups are going to be building on Cardano. So next year is really just the whole system's going to ignite in such a way that it's going to be pretty overwhelming to people, but at the same time, we have these optimization mechanisms that we're putting in place to actually make sure that we're moving forward together in a sort of systematic, programmatic process where we're all able to participate in the ecosystem together to build essentially what is the future of Cardano and Web3 applications.
Really, in 2022, we want to get Cardano to a place where we can start handing it over to the community, where it can start to become community-driven as well as being developed by IO. So there are a number of enhancements that are coming in 2022. The first is decentralizing the network layer in Cardano. At the moment, block production in Cardano, when we make a new block, that's decentralized. However, IO still have kind of a relays involved. We're still involved in the network layer. So we want to pull ourselves out of there and make sure that that's completely decentralized. And to do that, we're enhancing the network with two core technologies, Genesis and P2P. Genesis will allow new nodes to sync without fear of eclipse attacks, and P2P will effectively allow nodes to interlink without going through any IO peers. Additionally, we're also going to be looking at governance. We're going to be looking at scaling and side chains, thinking about things like Hydra, thinking about things like the Ethereum virtual machine sidechain potentially to run Solidity contracts. And then finally, the rest of the year will be focusing on scaling and performance enhancements. So how can we tweak the network in order to get the maximum possible performance out of it?
You know, I'm really excited about next year because this year we were tens of thousands. Next year we're going to be hundreds of thousands of participants in Catalyst. Last year we funded hundreds of projects. Next year we're going to fund thousands of projects. You know, last year we ran funds of $8 million. Next year we're gonna run funds for tens of millions of dollars. Last year we were discovering and exploring. This coming year we're gonna have confidence and coordination and professionalism and level up everything we're doing on a much larger scale and quality. All right. Last year we had around 10% of ADA participating in governance, which is an incredible number. Next year we're going to have much higher percentage. It's not just about you as an individual that need to go through thousands of proposals, but you will be empowered through vote to delegation to pick a person you trust that can do that work for you or represent you and your voice. And you will also have this amazing access to a dashboard that will give you all the information about the performance of all the funded proposals. You know, the treasury is your treasury, and you will have this like transparent window to see what you get out of it or how it performs.
I'm pleased to be able to share that the board has recently agreed in principle the marketing strategy for 2022 and beyond. This can be quite cleanly distilled down into 5 elements, 3 elements, and 2 elements respectively. 5 strategic objectives, which are adoption, legislation standards, governance, and partnerships. 3 strategic approaches, which is education, empowerment, and alignment. And 2 missions, which is the positive advancement of the Cardano protocol and becoming the future financial and social operating system for the world. This is going to be done on a 3-tier approach. So tier 1 is one-to-one and one-to-few. Tier 2 is one-to-few execution. And tier 3 is one-to-many. So this is where our ambassadors and the community we're empowering to support the Cardano protocol.
Now, let me give you a little bit of a glimpse of what you can expect to see in 2022. The research team is working very actively in a number of projects. I'll give you 2 examples. First is the line of work that has to do with the Basho era of Cardano. This improves the scalability of the ecosystem. The research outputs include the Hydra suite of protocols, but also a significant upgrade of the main chain itself with a new version of the Ouroboros protocol. The second major topic is governance. The research team is studying different aspects of blockchain governance that include meritocratic suffrage, privacy, and incentives for participation. Sound governance is a complex problem and the only way for decentralized systems to succeed in the long run. Without sound governance, you can have community splitting events known as hard forks that we have seen many times in the history of other systems, including Bitcoin and Ethereum. The research that we do now for sound governance that makes such events preventable will be incorporated in the Voltaire era of Cardano. So these are just 2 examples from what you expect to see in 2022. The researchers at Input-Output are working on an array of other projects as well that cover comprehensively the research space of blockchain technology. In all cases, what you can expect to see is research output that is of the highest caliber, publicly available, peer-reviewed, and widely disseminated. 2022 will be a great year to look forward to for research related to the Cardano ecosystem.
Well, yeah, 2020 is the year that Cardano will blossom. I'm really, really excited because we've got lots of things in the pipeline that will boost the capacity of the main chain. So we've got features like pipelining and input endorsers. On layer 2, we'll also release the first version of Hydra, really focused around 2 use cases. So enabling off-chain computation for applications like DEXs and NFT marketplaces, also enabling micropayments. Besides that, we're looking to lower the barriers of entry on actually building on Cardano. So we'll provide multiple options for people to build dApps. For example, enabling Solidity developers to actually port their applications and run those on a sidechain on Cardano. Yeah, so I'm very, very excited. We've got hundreds of dApps building on Cardano, and at the end of 2022, there'll definitely be thousands of dApps on Cardano.
So for 2022, we're heading in a really great direction. We've built the framework for running dApps on Cardano. We've now got a very solid basis through the Plutus core, and then through the Plutus application backend. We're seeing people rolling out some exciting new dApps. Very much looking forward to see what happens over Christmas. I'm not going to get a break to watch TV. I'm going to be sitting up and watching what happens on Cardano. Yeah, that's going to be my Christmas break, right? And then looking forward into 2022, what we'll see is people building on this basis. They'll be rolling out even more complex applications. We've seen people rolling out swap applications, DXs. We'll be seeing all kinds of smart contracts being used on Cardano, and we're going to have to respond to that. So the engineering team is very much looking forward to the challenge of taking what we've built so far and extending it, expanding it, improving the performance, adding to the capabilities, making sure that Cardano becomes the dominant blockchain for 2022.
For 2022, I am most excited about making Glow available in production on Bluetooth. Right now, to write your software in Bluetooth, you have to basically write software in Haskell. It's great, actually, it's very powerful, but it's not for everyone. And Glow is a solution for a much easier and more accessible language to allow people to write software for Bluetooth in the future, and for now for the EVM, but future for Bluetooth. We also have people working on formal verification for Glow so that your contract will be proven correct by default for a whole lot of correctness criteria and to eliminate a whole lot of bugs that people commonly make in their dApps. And of course, we have this Avum project, account view on UTXO model, that solves the problem that all UTXO blockchains have, that they only make it easy for one person to access any given contract in any block. And a lot of people have special purpose solutions to this problem, but we have invented this general purpose solution that allows, in a decentralized way, people to contribute their transactions to the same contract in the same block. Account view on UTXO model. It's working on Nervos, and we want to make it work on Cardano. We're very excited for 2022 to become the year of Cardano becoming a great platform for decentralized applications.
So next year is really going to be all about RealFi. RealFi is our thesis that we want to create real-world economic value by plumbing up cryptocurrency liquidity to real-world lending and credit opportunities. This creates impact across the world. It drives down the interest rates in borrowing markets in countries like Kenya, Ethiopia, and Uganda. And it also enables people across the world who hold cryptocurrency to generate a real significant return whilst creating economic impact all across the world. To this end, we've started lending into the Kenyan market, lending into SMEs, and we're going to be building that plumbing out so that anyone across the world can participate in improving the lives of Africans and also making a return for themselves. Building on this, we'll also be looking to set up a bespoke fund which can invest in companies which are building out this RealFi ecosystem and apparatus. So this will be like a graduation class after people have completed our already existing Catalyst program. You get unrestricted financing from Catalyst, and then afterwards you can look for larger checks, larger ticket sizes coming from this bespoke fund. With this, we hope to enable a whole new generations of Africans to build on Cardano and to build, to be the next unicorn, which could be listed on the Cape Town Stock Exchange or potentially the New York Stock Exchange. Within the solutions team in IO Africa, we also have pipeline of 40 million users by the end of Q2 of next year. So also expect to see more deals like the Ministry of Education, these large scale adoption deals. So 2021 was proving the model. 2022 is starting to expand into credit and lending markets with this RealFi thesis, and to also fund the next generation of companies who will be building on Cardano technology.
So moving forward from 2021, we're going to be seeing a lot more community engagement as well. We want to create a function of developer experience within our ecosystem as well, because in the space of user experience, when we're dealing with developers, we need a developer experience function to gather all of the user feedback that we have coming from the community and then be able to incorporate that into our features as well as into our product roadmap. So developer experience will inform all of the actions as well as the features that are required to go into our roadmap, and that is what will drive all kinds of technological implementation moving forward into 2022. So that's something that I'm really excited about, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of that happen in the future.
So in 2022, the Plutus Semantics project that we're doing is huge. That's going to enable us to do full formal verification using K to get those level 3 certification projects. And that leads to what I said before about a whole new level of security, a higher bar, and high quality, high assurance dApps driving the whole Cardano mission forward. We have the same mission. So it's looking really good.
I would like to achieve powerful symbolic execution engine for Riele and Plutus that would power program verification tools for these languages. I would be very happy if we achieve that in 2022.
In 2022, we're going to be working on a few things. We've so far developed part of the primitive for the Mithril node. We're hoping to take that further, which is going to allow us to reduce signature sizes by even more. We're also going to be working at the node level for Mithril to start building out a test lab that will allow us to systemically test Mithril nodes as they go into development and as multiple node implementations start to appear over 2022.
The next step for Cardano in 2022 is to focus on scalability. So how we improve the overall performance of the system and how we enable more use cases on-chain. So we'll be first improving the stack itself, improving the network performance, And we will also bring new technologies to add new features through Hydra state channels, or bringing the EVM through a sidechain, so people can leverage a different programming model within the Cardano ecosystem. So this is a key element of our strategy in 2022. There will be the decentralization with the Voltaire era, right, where we are going to work on an update protocol and build a more decentralized consortium for the maintenance and development of Cardano. And there will be also many new exciting projects, in particular Crypto Bison. This is a project that I really like and I'm invested in. NFT game, so we can look at the complexity of designing those new generations of application on top of blockchain ecosystems and network.
The next year will also be very exciting. Lots of new challenges. So we will run more iterations of the Plutus course. We also have to find a way to make it more repeatable. So the goal is to eventually that anybody can just do a MOOC at their own pace, at their own time, when they have time to learn. So we have to convert the material we have now into this form. And there are new exciting technologies coming up and that are almost screaming for a pioneer course, like a Marlo or Glow or Yelle. Then, of course, can't wait to go to Ghana to do one of these on-the-ground Haskell courses again. And that obviously always comes with its own challenge. It's always interesting in a different country. I mean, the infrastructure, the students, the mentality of the students. So that's always exciting and always new for every new country where I do these courses. But it's also a lot of fun, so I can't wait to go there.
I think 2022 is going to be the year of the smart contract. It's the year when using Plutus, using the infrastructure we've produced, we'll be able to see more and more smart contract enabled dApps on Cardano. And I think that's a point where, as technology providers, we pivot. We can think, how can we get feedback on the technology we delivered, which we developed, hoping to provide the best possible tech to support what you wanted to do. But now we can see what's happening, get feedback on what works, what doesn't work, what's missing, how we can improve. And so it's going to be an interesting year getting that feedback on our technology. We'll also see some other languages coming along, Glow and the KVM on sidechain. And we'll also see developers with Marlo, the Marlo market coming along, which is like a dApp store for Marlo contracts. And we expect that to be a game changer. It'll be a way that people can trade, upload, download, simulate, analyze Marlo contracts they've written themselves, or take a pre-written contract and assure themselves of its behavior inside the market. And talking about assurance, the final thing I wanted to talk about was certification. We'll be talking a lot about that next year. 3 levels of certification: automated testing, audit, and full machine verification. But these are complementary. They're not exclusive. We hope to see people doing some level 1 automated testing, going for an audit at level 2, and then potentially dipping their toes in later on into machine verification at level 3. And to encourage that, we'll be running a meetup in early February or mid-February to get together major players in the audit space to try and put together a set of best practice guidelines for certification for Cardano dApps. So lots of stuff happening, and it's going to be an exciting year.
Nice. So the future is bright.
The future is bright. The future is Cardano.
I think I'm done.
Sorry, cut.
Okay. Take $1 million.
So there you have it. We've broken down our year by numbers. We've heard from the wider team, from Charles, our partners, and some of our key collaborators on what's been achieved and what's still to come. But as we've heard, so much of this is about you, the community. So if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to our channels, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, sign up to our email lists, get involved with Project Catalyst, contribute to Essential Cardano. Just get involved. The strength of the Cardano community is like no other, so let's keep that growing too. You'll find a bunch of useful links below. And if you're a dApp developer, be sure to check out the survey in the description as well. We want to hear from you and maybe get you on this side of the camera on Cardano360 in the new year. Now, I'll let Charles play us out, but let me just thank each and every one of you for playing your part in our story this year. Here's to an exceptional 2022 and happy holidays to everyone, everywhere, from us all.
We had a lot of fun today. We learned a lot. We laughed, we cried, we accomplished a few things, and hopefully you gained some information about where we've been and where we're going. It's been a very long year from January to December, and personally I'd like to thank each and every member of the IO family and each and every member of the Cardano family for sticking with it and keeping the faith and pushing through. It has not been easy. There's been so much that we've had to deal with. The largest cryptocurrency conference in the world with over 100,000 attendees, the Africa special, major releases like Mary and Alonzo, so many crunch time codes, so many weekends worked, so many events missed. You see, there's a lot of magic that happens behind the scenes, and often you don't get to see that magic. But let me assure you that the things that made the greatness happen are because of the blood, tears, and sweat of all the people on this show and the ones that you don't see. So I'd like to personally thank them and really congratulate them on the most successful year in the history of the Cardano project, and also remind everybody that 2022 is going to be an even bigger year. There's so much more to do. There's so many more meetings to have. There's so much more code to write, so many more papers to publish, and there's so many more applications to build. The difference, I'd say, in 2022 from 2021 is there's going to be so much more commercialization done by you, the community. We already see more than 120 dApps being constructed on Cardano at the moment as just the first wave. And just like Mary, when we went from one native asset on Cardano, ADA, to now 2 million by the end of this year, we're going to see the exact same exponential growth occur with the dApp ecosystem. There are going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of dApps constructed, curated, deployed, debated on the platform next year. And it's up to those dApp builders to commercialize, and it's up to those dApp builders to build ecosystems and communities. But if what we've seen already with the more than 120 that are deploying and building is any indication of where the ecosystem is going to go, I'm extremely optimistic for the future. And I very much feel that we're going to accomplish great things together. So 2022 is really going to be the year defined as much by you, the community, as it has been defined by the eras of Cardano, from Shelley to Gauguin and so forth. It's also going to be a fun year from the perspective of watching a technological dream wake up. You see, Ouroboros and Plutus, extended UTXO, these ideas, they didn't start in 2021. They started in a lab in 2015 and 2016, inspired by progress of the last 3 decades of computer science. And now when we look to 2022, this is the year where we fully realize many of the visions of those 3 decades. The magic of functional programming, the power of formal verification, the ability to accelerate Ouroboros to new levels not seen before, all the concurrency we're going to gain, the power of interoperability and sidechains through the bridges and Mithril, wonderful things like new light clients. All of these items are coming. The other thing is we're seeing a lot more agility and modularity in everything from our technology to our community. For example, we have a great micro summit coming up in the first quarter, which will cover DEXs. So we can bring all of the DEX makers together and have a great conversation about how to share technology and ideas, design patterns, user experience, the regulatory reality of DEXs, and so forth. That's not just for DEXs. There's going to be micro summits across the board in every single DeFi area, every single RealFi area in the Cardano stack. The same can be done for you, the community, across all of these dApp domains. So there's going to be more community meetups, more conferences, more summits, more communication, more documentation, more content produced next year than what's produced this year, and this was the all-time winner. That's the magic of next year. It's really the year of the community, and it's really the year that Cardano gets fully commercialized, and we get to see the fruits of our long labors as an ecosystem. So thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for keeping the faith. and it's going to be really fun to see where we go. And I cannot wait to do my year review in 2022 and show all the amazing things that have been accomplished together.